Greetings, lords and ladies, and welcome to the Westeros Vibe, where walks of shame can be cancelled due to unforeseen plot twists. Before we start, I would like to remind you that links to every article or video covered this week can be found in the video description below. Also in the description you will find timestamps so that you can choose which stories you will want to view. We start with the week with Martin reveals new Winds of Winter chapter, Aeron Greyjoy. The chapter is horrific and it confirms a couple of theories while creating more questions. The transcript of the chapter is also available online if you want to search for it. Read it, love it, because it may be the last chapter ever before the Winds of Winter comes out. Moving on to Game of Thrones producer talks about the show's recent twists. In a short interview, Brian Cockman, who also wrote the previous episode Blood of My Blood, made a couple of statements about Hodor and BENJEN. If you're interested in them, the video is only 2 minutes long, and you can view it in the article, link down below. Next up, Red Wedding actor breaks silence on surprise return. Careful for spoilers. Tobias Menzies, who plays Edmure Tully, made his triumphant return to the show as a captive of the phrase of the crossing, and so he gave an interview. Among the questions he answered are: did the producers tell you that your character will return someday? Did you have to starve yourself for this role? And is this your best year, or is there actually a year that exceeds this? If you want more questions and answers to these, then follow the link and to read the article and enjoy. In other news, George R. Martin reads new Winds of Winter chapter reveals detail about Brienne's ancestry. We have already covered the chapter, so let us get into the Brienne revelation. Careful for spoilers. George has revealed that Brienne is a descendant of Sir Duncan the Tall, one of the protagonists of the Duncan Egg novellas. There was a theory which made this claim and it has been confirmed. Someone out there is very pleased of himself. Moving on to Game of Thrones Season 6 rating so far, an overview. The short of it is that the show is still staying strong with almost 8 million viewers per episode. For more information, follow the link below to the article and read. Next up, breaking down Bran's bizarre vision from the latest Game of Thrones episode. The segments identified were the Mad King, Wildfire, Dragons, White Walkers, R plus A equals J, and Ravens. There are quotes from the book accompanying them, so check out the article for more information. In other news, Blood of My Blood ratings mark low point for Season 6. As a company piece to the earlier story, the ratings for episode 6 were 6.71 million, the first drop beneath 7 million this season. Is it grinding to a halt? We will see in the coming weeks. Moving on to director Jack Bander's original idea for Hodor's death scene was far more brutal. This article can be crystallized by the following long quote. Early on I had the idea to make it one shot that just pushes in and gets closer and closer, and then the parallel high shot that gets closer and closer to Willis, who became Hodor. I talked about it with Dave and Dan a lot. I said, what the dad would be doing to Hodor would be ripping his clothes off once they got through the door. They would be ripping his flesh off. If the dead can go through wood, they're going to be tearing Hodor apart. And they said something to me that really stuck, which was, if it's too horrific, we're not going to feel the loss of Hodor. And that was my compass the entire time, to make us really care at the end. I still wanted to make it scary enough, see Hodor surrounded and engulfed by these skeletal arms and long fingers that were eventually going to smother and kill and rip him apart, or whatever they were going to do that we didn't see. But to not let the horror of it overwhelm the emotion of losing that character and making it really land on the idea that he was sacrificing himself so his friends could get away. That was the dominant idea. Next up, George R. Martin confirms something important about Lady Stoneheart. Careful for spoilers, yet again. At a dinner with fans, an Italian managed to ask George about this subject. The Italian then asked George if Lady Stoneheart was going to appear on the show. George said no, that she'd been cut. He said if he were involved in the show, things would be different, but he's busy trying to finish books. It is sad news, however it was to be expected. In other news, Game of Thrones director just confirmed your fears about the last 2 seasons. As expected and reported before, the last 2 seasons will be shorter than previous ones. The following quote explains it all. I don't know the answer to that. They're only doing 7 episodes, and they've got their regulars who have done it forever. I know that I had a wonderful experience doing the show, and I know that Dan and David are thrilled with the show, but I've got this series I'm mounting for the beginning of 2017 based on Stephen King's trilogy of books, starting with Mr. Mercedes. Brendan Gleeson is playing the lead, which I'm thrilled about, Anton Yelchin, and I'm in the process of mounting that. I haven't been asked yet, and I also don't know what their schedule is going to be, but under the best circumstances, schedule and everything, I had a great experience doing the show. If available and they wanted me to, I would love to do that. Moving on to the lands of YouTube, we have more videos to talk about this week. Reviews and discussions about episode 6, Blood of My Blood, have been released by the following channels: AltShiftX, Aeron Linda, Emergency Awesome, Preston Jacobs, Red Team Review, Vassals of Kingsgrave, and History of Westeros with their usual show-only review and book-to-show discussion. Vassals of Kingsgrave have released a discussion about the newly released Aeron chapter. Emergency Awesome has released a video about Brienne's ancestry and the Q&A follow-up to his review. Preston Jacobs has released his 111,111 sub special and the Q&A follow-up to his review. Red Team Review has released a Q&A follow-up to his review also. That is the news for the week ending on June 5th. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, please like, share, comment and subscribe. And stay tuned. Goodbye everyone.